The nerd is here today, so we're going to talk all things Apple versus Android. Hi and welcome to Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. This podcast is specifically for business owners or wannabe business owners. Say you've got a side hustle, or you've got a passion for something and you think it'd be absolutely amazing, or you see people that do amazing things with their passions and what they enjoy doing. Well, you can do that. So please subscribe, and we hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Hi and welcome to the Breakout Podcast, Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. So today, this week, bit of a controversial subject, and I'm kind of, if you listen to it, I think you'll know where we sit. However, I really want everyone else's pros and cons and opinions on this one, because it's the kind of thing we can do a follow-up on and we can talk about later, because even with the clients we have in and customers, when they pop in and ask for help, some people have got some really strong, well, as we have, got some really strong opinions on this. So it's all about Apple versus Android. Now, hands up, I left my corporate job now 9 years ago, and I went from a Windows laptop and got a MacBook, purely because one of my very opinionated friends said, you need to go Mac. Once you go Mac, you never go back, I think is what she said to me. So
that's not what version I heard.
So I think I got a Mac. I'd always had, not always, but after Nokia went out, I did get an Apple phone. So I've always had iPhones. I had, through work, I think it was an HTC phone, Android phone. But I could read emails and ring on it. I couldn't do anything else. So it was really funny. And so I'd regularly just ring people back on my Apple phone, on my personal phone. So anyway, separate issue. So so the nerd is here today. So we're going to talk all things Apple versus Android.
There's two strands to this, or several, because Apple have got the phone and the computer market, whereas Android haven't got the computer market, really. They have in a way. We'll talk about Chromebooks.
Emily said today she's got a Chromebook at school. That's what they work off at school.
Apple versus Android. Now, obviously, I'm speaking from experience, and all these are, again, as we kind of...
So hang on.
Whoa.
When you say experience, how many years have you been in IT?
How old am I?
21. Everyone's 21.
You're 21.
So you're...
45.
45.
Yeah. So
and you've had IT jobs...
Well, I had my first computer when I was 1981, so I was about 6. Spectrum came out.
Twinkle then.
Went from Spectrum to Commodore 64, Amigas, then onto the PCs and games consoles.
Amstrad. We had an Amstrad.
Didn't go down the Amstrad road. Didn't do it.
See, we had an Amstrad at home.
My dad did have one of the ones, the little. This is my computer, and he pulled it out. It was basically like the paddles. You had the white bats, and you spat the ball back.
Yes, it was orange and black.
I think so. Yeah, definitely
orange and black. Yeah, we had
one of them. Bat and ball. But the first sort of proper computer was the first home computer, which is a Spectrum 48K. That is an X81 before that, but it was a bit... All I remember about a 48K was playing Manic Miner and Jetpack Willie. So good. Manic Miner was the hardest game ever in this world. So if you ever get a chance, Liam will find a link somewhere. Manic Miner for Spectrum. Google it, try and play it, and get past the first level, and you never do it. It's so hard.
So then what was your... your first IT job?
So I never had an experience. So I left to become an engineer. So I... like mechanical lathe turning, milling, stuff, metalwork and things like that. Because he asked me at school what I fancy doing. I don't know why I didn't say computers. I came out with that.
They weren't invented then.
No, so I ended up going down that road. So, which soon fell apart when everything got outsourced to foreign countries, and obviously there was no money in it and there was no future. So I believe though it's starting to come back.
Yeah, it will do, because you can't, since the dreaded B word, it's very difficult to buy stuff, or very, very, very expensive to buy stuff from overseas.
Yeah, so I could make my own screw. I could.
Well done.
So IT jobs, I spoke to my uncle. He had an IT company that he was an accountant for. so I went to go work for them. I learned... Well, before that I was doing it all for my mates and stuff like that, so
you've always been a nerd?
Yeah, always been a nerd, so ended up being a system administrator very quickly there. Running networks, started working for big companies, server maintenance, server support. Started off with the old... We used to have broadband, well not broadband, before broadband, with 58k modem. Got ISDN, which gave us 128k, yeah. That connected instantly, so good. And then it went on to satellite broadband, using old Sky satellites to get a broadband signal down. That was good fun. And then the two-way broadband satellites came out. Just awful. The latency, you go on a website and take half an hour for it to go, I want that website. And then it'll come down really quickly, but there's that delay that it took to get it. Yeah, I worked for some big companies. The companies are really huge now. Did some work for Aspel Cider. And I knew them, but they had a little shed and a little brewery in the back of their shed, and they got with Adams, I think it was now. Or something like that, and yeah, they come huge now, worldwide.
They are
so
huge.
Really good for them.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm just going my experience. All right, so yeah, so lots of experience in that. I do hardware and obviously networking support. I kind of do the overall picture. I don't specialise in one area. I can't do it all. I'm not saying I'm the best person in the world, but I've certainly got enough experience to say. So from about 21, 22 years old, I've been working in IT. So almost over 23 years.
And now... You're the resident nerd.
I'm the resident nerd.
For all IT queries. So whether it's business, personal, laptops, emails, servers, anything techie... That's what the nerd is here to help with. So we regularly have customers come in, and the first thing they say, they can't do something. For me, because I do a lot with social media, they'll come in and say, I can't do this on Instagram. Get the phone out, it's an Android. You're like, oh no. Because it is different. So from the very basics, from my experience as a user and not an IT person, if you're looking at Apple versus Android, you have...
And we're talking about phones at this moment.
We're at phones, sorry. Yeah. Phones for Apple versus Android. So if you're looking at Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, they're different. So we did a Reels workshop. Didn't think ahead, just from experience. Everyone turned up. Everyone had an iPhone except for one person that had a Android. I think it was Samsung at the time. The app is different. The app settings are not the same. So the client was actually restricted on some of the features. This was about a year ago, so I don't know if it's the same because obviously updates and everything changes so quickly. But the time, and this is the issue, when apps are doing updates, if they're updating the iPhone, they're updating on Apple, that's one update for all of it.
Yep.
Whereas if they're updating on Android, they're like, right, we have to update for Samsung, we have to update for... I want to say HTC because that was the bane of my life.
I think they're gone now.
They should be gone. They were horrendous. Google. What else is over Android? I don't even know. Huawei.
Sony Ericsson.
Huawei. And there's other ones I don't really know the name of. So, from a user point of view, the other thing is on Apple. So if I've got an iPhone, so I have an iPhone. We have iPads that we use for our till system here at business, and I have a Mac. Everything talks to each other, so I can have messages on all the ones, I can have my photos on everything. So no matter what I'm working on, all of my information is accessible on that.
Yeah. And that's if you want that. Some people don't want that, but you can turn those features off on certain things.
Oh yeah, you can. I don't have to have my messages on it, and I don't have to link it. But I ultimately, and it's all the same way of working. So for a user point of view, and someone who has had Android in the past, I am now everything's Apple. Right. So that's the end of the podcast. We've decided that Apple's
in our opinion, yeah. So we're talking about phones at the moment. And I'll explain why Windows and Apple try and touch onto that and try not to cross over too much. But Apple phone and Android phone. So Apple have got how many devices out there?
Apple?
How many versions of an Apple
phones?
iPhone? Yeah.
10?
Yeah.
12? 15?
They keep support the old ones, don't they?
I feel like we should... I'm on Google. Google iPhone.
So they've got the SE, the 12, the 13,
So
the 14.
currently live you can buy...
Yeah.
There's 5.
But it's still supporting up to, I think, iPhone 8. Maybe I've just dropped that one, but iPhone 10 certainly. Or iPhone X, they call it. So yeah, Apple control the hardware. So they design the phone, they design what's in it, they make some of those parts. So basically everything is inherently them, which could be a control thing, but you've got to understand what their job is. Their job is to write software to run on that phone. They protect that software by only allowing you to install anything or any apps from the App Store. So when you go online, it's protected. If you go onto a dodgy website, you're protected. It can't install stuff on there without your permission. Your apps are controlled. So if I make an app for Apple, I have to go through a stringent procedure of making it sure it's protected, make sure I update it, make sure I stay by their rules. Because if I don't, they won't release it. Now, that's there for your protection. Yes, it's a control thing. Yes, it feels like you're joining the corporation. What was the one for Spider-Man? Corporation they trying to take over the world? Might not be Spider-Man.
Really
Batman?
asking the wrong person.
Um,
But my mate always says it because it was what was it? Because you came in Sudbury once, and it was when they decided to do all the roads and something, and it felt like that corporation had taken over Sudbury.
Yeah, so it's not like once they control the phones, they control the world. Yeah. But you got to understand, like I say, they've got to write their software, so they know their hardware, they know their software, they write it to make it work. So you get the end result of that, you get a more secure, a more stable, and a more reliable operating system. The operating system, a term people that don't know, is the software that runs on the back of the phone. So it's called iOS for Apple, and that's what runs the phones. So iOS obviously supports onto your phone. Now, they will support the phone up to around about 10 years, I think they keep them going for, before they stop supporting it, i.e. they stop releasing software updates for it. They still release the security patches, so in case there's a vulnerability that comes out, they'll still release a security patch. But all those apps that you get with it also have to continue to be made and updated. Mm-hmm. Now, Netflix, for example, will go up to a point where once Apple stops supporting the phone, so you have your phone for about 10 years, it will say, right, we don't support that anymore. Now, there's a reason for that, because if they did continue to support it, we then have a situation where an app is not running properly on the phone, makes the phone unreliable and unstable, therefore you end up with issues like that. So their job is a lot easier.
I was just about to say, from a user point of view,
yeah,
the iPhone's easier to use.
Yeah, because you're used to it.
Yeah, but so the home button's the home button,
yeah.
So you know how to go back home every single time. There's not, yes, it's arrows and squares and things at the bottom of the phone on Android, but also it's that I want to open. It's just
But again, you're going through muscle memory. You use that phone many years. Your muscle memory is to do that. So an Android user knows how to use their phone. I know that because I hand it to them and go, take me where I need to be. Just get.
Yeah.
Because my muscle memory says I don't even think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you use an Android all the time, you wouldn't have that issue. And I see that all the time when people come in.
Okay, fair.
They know that. But you're right. If you're used to something, it's the change that's difficult.
Yeah.
However, inherently, I find them personally, and again, I agree with you, easier to use.
Yeah.
There's less clutter. There's like on an Android phone, you've got a Photos app, you've got a Google Photos app. Which one are we using? Which one is synchronising good? Because one's made by Samsung, one's made by Google. So you've got a free-for-all for all these software developers like Samsung, like LG, to chuck on their apps on their phone.
I would say the photos are probably the most common question we get.
Yeah, because it's really difficult. I mean, it's a Google operating system, Android. It's made by Google. Use Google Photos. Sync it with your Google account. That makes everything more seamless. Don't use the Samsung version where you've actually gone, right, I need to get them on my computer. Where do I go on my computer to find the Samsung photos that are synced to us? Just everywhere. And that's where I find that people have taken pictures, they've stored them in the wrong place, therefore you've lost them. There are arguments between, and I have various opinions on each. So for app developers, so for Instagram, like you said earlier, Instagram, right, there's been a new update for the iOS. We need to release an update. Okay, we need to patch something. Okay, release a patch, send it out. It's updated. We ain't got to worry about too much more. Whereas Instagram for Android have got to worry about, okay, LG phone. How many Android phones are out there? Literally millions. Did it even tell you? How many Android versions of phones out there?
See, there's HTC Dream.
Really nice, yeah.
Oh, there's quite a lot.
Yeah, for just A alone.
Just A.
There's literally
Asus.
50.
Yeah. B. Less Bs, less Cs. Yeah.
So they have to make sure that app works compatibly on all those phones. Now, I did hear on your phone, the screens are incredible. I can't even, they're just amazing.
Huawei.
The screens aren't as good on the iPhone, I get that. But they're getting better. However, the camera So they'll take a picture on a camera. It might be a million pixels, million pixels, wherever it is. But then you try and upload it to Instagram, it reduces that quality. It makes it make it universal for all phones, so you don't get the same. You don't get that amazing photo when you post it. It's changed and it's rendered.
Yeah.
And reduced in size. So that's why when updates come out. So when Apple release an update for the operating system, iOS 25 comes out. You download it, you install it. Android, Google. So Google makes Android. Android releases a new version of Android. They have to send that off to Samsung. Samsung has to authorise it for their device, and it goes out to the Samsung phone. Each of those companies have to obviously release that software for each of their phones.
I'm still scrolling.
I know you're still scrolling. I've lost you down
I'm only at
Android hole.
Oppo.
If you're going to go Android, then I would say I would go with the Pixel, which is a Google Android phone because it's made by Google, it's run by Google. Now, I have had Samsung phones. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never had an Android phone, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had them. I thought, do you know what? I was sucked in, the screen looks amazing, the camera looks great. It had interchangeable battery on it, which is great, so I could just take the battery out and chuck a new one in. Do you mind?
I've just finished scrolling
You're bored.
through.
I'm like talking to someone who's bored of
Oh,
me.
sorry. No, I've just finished scrolling through all the Android phones. So that's how many there were. Thousands.
So I had an Android phone. It released an update after 2 years or a year and a half. Update came out. I didn't get it for another 3 months. I put it on the phone. It literally just destroyed the phone every time I was typing. And I see this a lot when I come in the shop. He's typing away, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden your text appears. There's like this delay and latency in this keyboard. Like, I can't. How do you even work like this? I normally say, how do you even use this? This is literally, you're paying a lot of money for a phone. And don't forget, like, Apple and the Android phone, and we're not talking about the Doro phones of this world. We're talking about a Samsung, an LG, a Google Pixel. The price point of those phones are almost on par with Apple, and in some cases more. So I would say longevity,
But then that's what people are used to. If they're used to that delay, they don't know any different, do they?
No. So longevity and reliability, Apple. Is your phone, your Android phone, your Samsung phone still going to work as it did 8 years down the road? No. There was obviously the case with the batteries with Apple. Now what Apple were doing is it's turned into a bit of a scam with the news. So Apple batteries, obviously the lithium batteries, they were kind of a new thing in this world. A lot of things run on them now. We wouldn't have electronic cars without lithium batteries. They are inherently dangerous in the wrong hands or treated the wrong way. Now, a lithium battery has to be looked after. It isn't going to last forever. So I would say about 3 to 4 years, your Apple battery is probably going to be going into what they call a reduced state. And what Apple do, they reduce the power the processor requires out of that battery to try and preserve that battery for longer. Therefore, your Apple phone will potentially slow down once it falls into that mode and may restart itself. It's a quick fix. You can pretty much go to Apple and get a new battery. You can go to a lot of stores now. They can change the battery for you. Just do that. You'll have a good couple of years out of it. Obviously, be aware of what battery they're putting in it. There are obviously other batteries out there. If you get a genuine Apple battery, then obviously perfect. But just be mindful about what you're chucking in it. And therefore, it will continue. It's like looking after your car. Look after it, look after you, carry on.
I think it's as well, it's looking at that, because when you touched on price, yes, Androids are cheaper, but then it's that full lifetime cost. What's your life cycle cost of a phone? If you want to have the latest phone, then you're going to spend a lot on phones, because you're always going to change. You could resell your last one, etc., etc. It might be that. But if your Android is not going to work in 3-4 years, but an Apple one is still being updated in 8 years, if you're that person that you're happy to keep it, then yes, you might be paying more up front. But that's why I think I do a SIM-only deal, and then I buy the phone up front. Yes, it's a big outlay, but my monthly thing is down. So I'm not then paying for a phone of ongoing. So.
The other thing is obviously it's getting repaired. So if you do smash the screens, a lot of people out there do have the iPhone screens in stock. They're easy to get hold of. Obviously, again, I'll just be wary about who you're going. Make sure they're recommended, and the screens that have been put in are good quality. So generally they'll last, and the good thing about them is they have a good resale value. So as that phone gets to like 5 years old and you want to change it in, you'll get a lot more money for it than you would any other sort of Android phone, in my opinion. So it's what you're used to. If you feel like a change and you're up to it and you're on an Android, then I would suggest moving over, see what you think. I think once you've got used to it and your muscle memory's changed, and you'll find it a lot more happier experience, and it'll be perfect for what you need. Now, it ties in now with sort of what computer do you use. Now, if you're just using a phone, just being a phone, great. But if you're like us, you need that business or you need that to work for you, reduce your admin, having an Apple phone and an iPad and an Apple Mac, it's just incredible. Every time I take a picture, as soon as I take that picture, it's on my phone, it's on my computer. I can then put that picture into. I ain't got to email it to myself. I ain't got to WhatsApp it to myself. You've got a thing called AirDrop, which you can AirDrop between other Apple devices or not on your account. So if your friend's got a photo, AirDrop it to each other. You don't lose the quality of the photo. Whereas if you send it via WhatsApp, you'll lose some of the quality of the picture. So that alone, if I want to copy a bit of text off my phone and then paste it into a document on my Mac, I highlight the text, hit copy, and then just go over to my Mac and paste, and it's on there. If I've got an Apple Watch, I walk up to my MacBook, it unlocks it itself because it knows it's me. I don't have to put a password in. There are so many good things that actually just work seamlessly together. The iCloud drive and the backing up, so if someone picks up my MacBook now and run off with it, I still have my latest document that I've just saved 5 seconds ago before that happened.
And all your photos.
And all my photos.
We've had that a few times, haven't we? Where we've lost everything.
And you need to make sure, yes, it does all this, but you need to make sure it's set up properly. And I think that's the other things people fall down on. They get an Apple iPhone and they don't set it up properly. And they don't always turn on the Google Photos. Sorry, not Google Photos, the iPhone stream. Well, it's gone now, but yeah, Google.
iCloud.
Apple Photos, haven't turned that on, the iCloud system's not running properly. If it's checked and done properly, as soon as you take a picture of that phone, someone nicks out your hand that's backed up. And you just get another phone, you log in again, and it's all back to as it was the second you left it. Really good for that. And also, if someone nicks my phone, or someone nicks my MacBook, they can't use it. It's tied into my iCloud account. So unless I give permission for that phone to be released, it can't be used. So bear that in mind. If you're thinking about buying a second-hand one or a used one, just make sure you can sign into your account. Because if you do buy them on eBay and stuff like that, and you make sure you get it from somebody reputable, and that you can sign into the account when you get it. Because if you can't sign in, you might just throw it in the bin.
And that's the same for iPads and MacBooks or Macs.
Yeah.
So going from phones, then tablets is very similar, isn't it? Same thing. Because we do have a lot of clients that don't want a laptop or a computer or anything, so they now just have tablets.
Yep.
So that's the same, isn't it? So they normally, I've had a few in recently, they've got their tablet or their iPad and then they just buy the separate keyboard because they like separate keyboard, they don't like touching the screen. So that kind of then covers them. Again, if they've got the iPhone, it will link to the iPad and everything's synced. Especially when people are running a business, so you want the photos across both. So you maybe use Meta rather than Instagram or Facebook on your phone, and you want it on your iPad, then all your photos are there, and it's easier to you can have WhatsApp desktop, etc., or the app's fine, it's all there. So on to Apple versus Android, which is technically MacBooks versus laptop Windows.
Yeah. And we have Chromebooks as a sideline.
What's the difference between Chromebooks is Windows, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
No, so Chromebooks run on a Google-based operating system like Android phones. So they will work more seamlessly, I'd say, and I've not experienced this with an Android phone. However, the overall experience, in my opinion, is not good for a business. Apple versus Windows is pretty much where we are. Obviously, you've got Apple, it works seamlessly with your phone and your computer. When you've got a Windows computer, there's not a Windows phone out there, so therefore you're relying on third-party software.
I thought there was Windows phones.
It used to be.
Are they gone?
You're going to tell me no in a minute.
I thought it said black market. No, back market.
Yeah, discontinued for mobile operating systems.
Oh.
So yeah, they were out there. They weren't great and didn't last very long. Very difficult market to compete in. But so you've got Windows and you've got an Android phone, or Windows and an Apple phone. You still have to use third-party software to get it to work. Now, people who stayed with Windows, there's reasons for why you run Windows. One of them is mainly games. If you're a gamer or like gaming, you've got to have a Windows computer because
you have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're a decent gamer, you want a game that runs on a decent 3D graphics card. Anything like Fortnite. I would say Fortnite. I don't play it, but
you can't do that on Mac and MacBooks. No. Oh, okay, interesting.
I think you can run Fortnite, but you're just using a business machine to try and. I mean, there are out there. We are talking about the price, though. If you're looking at an Apple with a decent graphics capability in it, we are looking at a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's the same with Windows computers. I mean, the Windows computer is fine, but it's the graphics card that makes that power, and those graphics cards can be anywhere from 1 to 2, 3 to 4 to 5 grand.
Okay.
But the actual games are written for Windows, so they're easier to run. And most of them. The compatibility is a lot more. The other reason why people use Windows computers is because the business software that they have doesn't support Mac. Now, if you went back 10 years, you had QuickBooks, you had to install it on the computer. Sage, you had to install on the computer. There are still people using Sage that are installed on the computers, but that's what you used to have. You used to have to download the application and install it, and they didn't have one for Mac, so therefore you were stuck. Windows was the only way to go. If you're running a business network in the office, Windows is where you would go. It's just because it's more supported. You've got Windows Server out there. So yeah, it's like finding out you have a Windows Server environment. It's easier to find somebody who will support a Windows Server environment than it is to find somebody who will support a Mac and a Mac network, I would say.
What does that mean though? Server environment or a Mac network?
So Mac with a Mac server and stuff like that, to find somebody to support that network would be harder to find.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, Windows has its purpose, but it's getting less and less. But if you are a small business, you're looking for something productive and reliable, and that will hold its value, it's got to be Apple.
Unless you're a gamer.
Yeah, unless you're a gamer, but then you buy two like I did. But I mean, I think when I moved over, and I only moved over a couple of years ago, it took me a little while to get used to it. Again, it's just a little bit different way of working.
I think for as user, it's speed. You turn it on and you use it.
Yeah, you open it up, it works.
It's there.
You do that on the Windows computer, the sixth time you do it, it won't work, you'll need a reboot.
Yeah.
I haven't rebooted my Mac for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yours is even longer, I'm guessing. I told her to the other day.
Months.
Yeah, so it's just always there. The battery life is just surpasses anything else that's out there. So yeah, it's a really good bit of kit.
But it's getting over that change. I think that's the important thing to note. It's the change, a different way of working. We grew up with Windows computers. Yep. Mac is a different way of working. It's like we grew up with Word and Excel. If you use Word and Excel a lot, I mean, Google, I use Google Sheets. I still can't. I struggle with numbers and pages on a Mac anyway. But you just do Google Sheets, and ultimately then that's easier to share. So some of the more complicated spreadsheets I do, I still need Excel and I still have to use it. But that depends on the formulas. But as a day in, day out, then everything's just run off of
Apple knew that. Microsoft knew that. Microsoft released Apple Office 365 for Mac.
Yeah.
So you can have your Word experience, you can have your Outlook experience. They are a little bit different. However, they work the same way.
Yeah.
So you can still have that familiarity with Word and Excel that you can with a Mac. Now, when people do get confused quite a lot, I'll say to them, what version of Windows are you running? I'm running 365. Windows is not Office and Word, Excel. Windows is nothing to do with that. Windows is Microsoft Windows, and Office is a separate package completely on what's on your computer.
Is that 10, 11, 12?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yep. So Windows 10, Windows 11. And if you're still using Windows 8 or Windows Vista, you need to come and see me. Because they were written off a long time ago. So if you are still using those old operating systems, you need to come in and get it updated, because you run a security risk by using them.
Is that the same with the iOS on MacBooks as well? So they all need to be updated. I don't know what they're called at the moment. What one?
I think we're on Ventura now.
Are you?
So just make sure your operating system, if your Mac can support it, make sure it's updated to the latest one. Any security patches are released anyway for it, but do make sure you're running the latest one. Only because when you do have to move up and you forget about it and you leave it 3 years, you've got 3 years worth of changes to get up to date with. Than it is to
Ventura.
So it's 13.5.2 out now, so it's just a little sub change. But there'll be a new one out soon. With Windows, if you're using Windows 10, be mindful about upgrading to Windows 11. You can't just upgrade a Windows computer like you can with a Mac. You can click that button. I don't need to sit over your shoulder, and it'll do it, and it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
You do that on a Windows computer, you're overlaying an old operating system, a new one over top of an old operating system. So you put Windows 11 over the top of Windows 10. You generally will slow the computer down. It will have remnants of the old operating system still in there. There will be, and I've seen it enough times to know, there'll be startup issues and stuff like that, and things won't work as well as they used to. If you do want to go up to Windows 11 and you've got Windows 10, the best way of doing it is wiping it clean, formatting the hard drive, and putting Windows 11 on. If that just sounds ridiculous to you and what the hell are you talking about, come and see us or a suitable technician. It's a fairly straightforward process to do. And I'll even copy your data over for you as well, which a lot of people won't.
So this is going back to, because I think a lot of people don't choose Mac or Apple because of price.
Yeah.
So if you've got, and we see it a lot, so we very rarely get MacBooks in, do we?
No.
So we get a lot of Windows laptops in. So it's considering that, yes, it's more expensive to buy it up front, but actually, do you need someone to help you do updates, or can you just click a button and it runs it for you?
Exactly. So your service
It's going
costs,
back to the life cycle cost of the product.
your maintenance costs are higher on a Windows computer. I would say, a maximum every 3 years, you should reinstall Windows again. And that's doing it properly. That's not just going recovery mode and Windows wipe and reinstall. You should reinstall it properly, i.e. formatting the hard drive, putting Windows 10 back on.
Why is that?
Because the more stuff you install and uninstall and install and uninstall, it leaves traces behind. Therefore, you end up with an unreliable system that needs security risk as well, viruses and what have you. That's the other thing. There ain't many viruses out there for Apple. There's plenty out there for Windows.
Yeah.
And more so much spyware. And I'm not saying. I know I've seen a few MacBooks with spyware on them. To get into the difference between spyware and viruses are the malicious intent. Spyware is for advertising, adware.
Or your pop-ups.
Yeah, pop-ups and stuff like that. So they're generally not malicious. When they go to the malicious stage, it turns into viruses. So yeah, it's your ongoing maintenance costs are smaller. They don't need to be fiddled around as much. They last a lot longer. Their value is a lot higher. They're more robust. They're built better. Because again, I go back to the Android and the Apple argument. How many Android phones are out there? What, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000?
I don't know. It took me about 10 minutes to get through the list.
Same with Apple. How many Apple MacBooks are out there? About 5, 6 models. Yeah. How many Windows computers are out there? How many different makes of Windows? HP, Lenovo, Compact, the ones you get on Amazon, which I don't even go there.
Sony.
Yeah, Sony's. They're all made by different hardware. Each one of those laptops, a HP laptop will have different hardware from different manufacturers in there, and the same with all the others. They mix and match their hardware with everything else. I'm not saying Apple don't do that, but when you're controlling 5, you're trying to get 5 sheeps in a pen, it's very easy. When you're trying to get 2,000 sheeps into a pen, it will be more difficult. So
Fair.
yeah, it's
But ultimately, it's coming down to that full life cycle cost of just. And again, reiterating, 9 times out of 10, we will always say if you can buy local from someone, brilliant. Yes, Apple's this big corporation. Yes, I think you said earlier it's that, I'm getting sucked into Apple and it's the products. Yeah, fine. But it's looking at value for money. And I think that's the big thing, because straight off the bat, you'd be like, well, I can get a laptop for 300 quid. That MacBook's going to cost me an absolute fortune. Well, actually, over its life and what you can resell it for, what it's going to cost you to update, what it's going to cost you in time as well. I would say I'm a lot more productive on my MacBook than I ever was on my Windows computer, because it was just slower, it was clunkier, it's just, you can't switch between screens. I would say the majority of people that are all over and sold by Mac are more creative people because of the
designers, didn't they? Years ago, all designers use Macs.
Yeah, exactly. And musicians as well. I think that's quite a big thing. So yeah, it's just, a lot of things come down to price, especially with the cost of living crisis and etc., etc. But it's looking at the total value of a product.
I mean, you can get, like I say, when you're running a small business, it's a big outlay. I get it. Do what I did. I think I paid about £33-34 a month at Apple interest-free credit.
Yeah.
It's just a business expense.
Yeah, you can claim it back.
But having that touchpad, I think the touchpad makes it like so much more better. Having a mouse on a Mac I think you're hindering yourself with that touchpad and the gestures that you can do now.
Yeah.
It increases productivity, increases your flow, it takes away that point click.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't take our word for it. You're welcome to come in and have a go on ours and have a play if you're not sure, and you want training with it, then that's fine. And do you know what? If you're an Apple and you want to go Windows, I'll train you on that as well. I don't have a preference, but I just know the amount of repairs that I have to do are 95% more than they are with Apple.
And I think it's organising your files, so we can help with that as well. A lot of people, it's where it's saved, especially on a laptop or Windows, because it's where it's gone and where it's saved. It's finding that file before. So that's where we come in and we can help people. So so we're saying Apple, unless you're a gamer.
If you're a gamer, you need to have a Windows computer, but you'll probably need to reinstall it every 3 years. And Android, say getting those phones to work on Windows, Apple, on Android, you have to use third-party apps to synchronise photographs. It's just not an easy process where it's just seamless with an Apple, and I don't have to worry about it.
So, Let us know what you think. I'd be really, really interested. We've had a few conversations with different people that are all about Android. So, and we're open-minded. We're not
Prove us wrong.
Precious.
If you say to me, like, this works better than here, show me. I really want to see it. I had, I was as a customer, so I'm sat there putting the ring alarm in, which is an earlier podcast. So I put the alarm in, and I went, you need to set a password. So I went, okay. So you have to put the password in once and then have to confirm it. Mm-hmm. She had her Android phone, so I picked it up. No worries, put the password in. Yeah, put the password in again. The button that says verify didn't light up. I'm like, what? So it was exactly the same. I tried it 4 times, 5 times. In the end, I went, just take your phone away from me. I can't deal with it anymore. This is costing you money because it's taking me longer to do something. I picked up my phone, did the same thing. That was done in about 5 seconds. Did exactly the same thing. There's
just random little hiccups and bits and pieces, but that's why it's going back to productivity. That it just makes a difference in your time, and your time's more valuable than however much it costs in pounds. So So drop us a message or comment and share. In particular, if you know someone that's through and through Android, please send them this podcast so they can let us know what they think, because we are open-minded. We're willing to hear your pros and cons. So if you walk in, we do use Apple. If you walk in, we can help you with Windows issues, we can help you with Android phone issues, but there are things where and I'll be honest, hands up, simple things like just get me back to this screen or just get me back to this app, and it's change. It's, as you say, muscle memory. So thanks for listening. As always, please like, share and subscribe. Really helps a little podcast like ours, and this is things that it's universal. Everyone can hear this. It's they're worldwide, so it'll be interesting to hear from all kinds of people. So thanks for listening, and see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Bye bye bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share with a friend who you think needs a bit of help with starting a business, or even their small business which they've already got going. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, which always helps a small business or small podcast like us. And check the show notes. We all have everything in there relating to the episode which you might need, might want to read, and links to anyone we've interviewed and certain subjects we've spoken about. And thanks for listening.